you can listen with me as we read In Love at Ease. This is a spiritual book about a spiritual master to millions of people who lived not so long ago. His name was Pramukh Swami Maharaj. And while you look at his handsome face, I'm going to grab the book because I realize I left it on the desk behind you. Got it. So without further ado, let's crack open where we left off in the second chapter on In Love, where we recount various love stories that this guru had with many of his devotees. Loving in silence can be a powerful articulation of love. This is the last paragraph that we read last time. We are at the next one. I just remembered. Swamishri exhibited an essential skill of parenting by persuading with love, rather than breaking, demanding, or forcing the child in any way that undermines the parent-child relationship. He delicately displayed and shared these lessons with parents to help them strengthen the bond with their children, and thus build a strong bridge between generations. A father had brought his son from South London to meet Swamishri at the Nayastin Mandir in 2000. Upon entering the room, the father started yelling and shouting at the teenager in front of Swamishri and the dozen other people in the room. Swamishri signaled to the other people to leave the room. He ignored the father and asked the teenager to sit near him on the floor. Swamishri asked the child how he was doing, what he was studying, and if he had any troubles with his friends. The boy immediately started speaking about peer pressure and trying to fit in with his friends, who all had vices and enjoyed activities that were considered inappropriate by the community. Swamishri listened to him patiently. The father tried to interrupt several times. Swamishri urged him to wait for his turn. And hello, MJ. Hari Om Tat Sat, Jamie. After almost 15 minutes, Swamishri turned to the father and said, "You have nothing left to say. He has told me everything he does and why he does it. And if you give me the chance to speak to him, I will make sure that he tries to get past these distractions and focus on his schoolwork." The father again shouted, "Swamishri, but he does not respect us." Swamishri retorted, "Do you respect him? I have been watching how you speak to him in public. It does not warrant a sense of respect or consideration. You have to love and respect in order to earn it back." During this exchange with the boy, Swamishri did not mention or advise the boy to give up his vices and the use of illicit drugs, but as the boy walked out of the room, he turned around and said, "You get me, Swamishri. I want to make sure you are happy. I am going to stop using. Bless me." Swamishri smiled and said, "I will pray for you. I will love you." So sweet. Swamishri was loyal. He put people first, often even before his own organization and its activities. This earned him the love of those around him. Chikungunya? My apologies, let me retry pronouncing this name. Chikungunya fever ravaged India in 2006. The sadhus and bhaktas asked Swamishri to celebrate Diwali in London instead of Gondal. Swamishri wanted to stay in India, as tens of thousands of devotees were expecting to receive his darshan sight in Gondal during the Diwali festivals. However, his old age and existing health conditions put him at risk of illness and threatened a long-term recovery. So Swamishri reluctantly agreed. Several bhaktas, devotees from North America, had gathered in London for his darshan. A recent graduate arrived in London and travelled from the airport directly to the mandir for Swamishri's darshan. As he walked into the room, Swamishri welcomed him and bellowed, "Welcome, journalist Sahib, sir." The graduate laughed and clarified, "Swamishri, I gave up my job as a news reporter and part-time anchor to volunteer with the organization." Swamishri's mood instantly changed. "Who did you ask? Why did you not call me first?" The environment in the room turned serious. Swamishri's personal attendants reminded him that the youth had just landed and suggested that this conversation be saved for a private moment. Swamishri stood up while leaning on the attendant sadhus and continued speaking to the youth as he walked into his room. Swamishri kept turning around to finish his sentences. The youth could only hear parts of it. Something, something, something. Why not ask me? Something, something, something. You ask me about your college classes, but not this. Why did you do this on your own? There is a time to serve, but also a time to focus on one's career and experiences. Something, something, something. I do not want to hear that you did this for me or the community. Something, something, something. Who is looking out for you? Thinking about you? Your parents? Swamishri was visibly worried about the future of the youth's career. The youth apologized and promised to speak to him in a few days. "Hello, Sammy." A few days later, a meeting of leaders of the North America chapters of the organization was held. Swamishri called the youth into the waiting area of his bedroom and said, "I am walking into that meeting and will tell the leaders that I want you to go back to work. Do not argue with me in there. Follow my cue." Swamishri put his hand on the youth's heart. "I am loyal to you. I am thinking about you. Trust me. You are my task and my priority. I want to complete you. It is more important than any of my organization's efforts." The youth was left speechless as he followed Swamishri into the meeting. Here was a leader who cared more about his people than he did about his organization's development. Hello, Becca. One more short story. Swamishri taught people how to love from a distance. It is not always possible or feasible for Swamishri's bhaktas to be in his physical vicinity. There was only one of him and millions who wanted more of him. However, Swamishri's life illustrates a formula for love that connected him with his bhaktas on the spiritual path, even when they were physically apart. His Holiness suffered a heart attack on the 5th of February, 1983. The devotees had been instructed to stay away from the hospital so that Swamishri could rest and recover. Many of them stood outside the large glass doors of Swamishri's room to catch a glimpse of their guru and perhaps be seen by him too. Young Tilak Bhagat, a newly initiated Parshad, a monk in training, typically wearing white garments, from the United Kingdom, had made a "Get Well Soon" card for his guru. The cover read, "Your love is like oxygen." Swamishri saw the young Parshad and his card and immediately asked the doctors to bring him inside. Tilak Bhagat recited the poem he had written inside the card. What did your heart say to my heart? I beat on your crush. Have rest and do not rush. Swamishri asked him to translate and elaborate on his thoughts. Tilak Bhagat shared his perspective while Swamishri lay in bed and listened patiently. He asked the young Parshad to show his card to the physicians as well. When the impromptu presentation was complete, Swamishri called out to Tilak Bhagat as he was walking out of the hospital room. Tilak, you spoke about love, distance, and our hearts. Here is how true love is expressed. You think of me, I will think of you. Our hearts will be together. It is that simple. We will be together. Distance is imagined. Love is to remember each other. Bhakti, loving devotion, is to remember that source, God, and Guru every step of the way. Swamishri was maturing young Tilak Bhagat's view of the roles of the giver and the receiver of love. Play in order to evolve. He wanted him to realize that distance is not an obstacle in love. It was also his way of reminding those around him that he had remembered them often, and he truly did. Even today, Brahma Viharidas Swami recalls this interaction as Tilak Bhagat when he is feeling alone or distant from his guru or the community, to remind himself that Swamishri was thinking of him and he should do the same. And so, we'll pause our reading of In Love at Ease there for now. Thank you for listening.